This is unusual white mountain. On color contrast filter, you see a little bit of a side supports there, but it's too blurred. Can't do anything with that one. This is more interesting because you see all the little processes on the side. Here we get some strange colors coming in. We get these beautiful light green, white, and orange. Look at that. Here we get those very pronounced white hills. Here we've got something that's spectacular. It looks all these beautiful colors in it, as though it's crystalline. I just provided the filter on that, but it doesn't help it that much. Here we go. That's beautiful. Look at all the colors in that. Here we've got something interesting. We've got these little openings on the side happening. One opening, another one. They're white, grey, all those other colours. It's just the openings there are interesting. Especially in light of all the openings we've seen before. They seem to be very well camouflaged. Many tubular-like processes there and quite a few colours popping up. It's a beautiful structure. All the openings on the side. The filter helps produce a little bit of a contrast there. Not sure what that could be. Obviously it's there right on the edge. Some are very, very clear. Some I'm just thinking, well, that's about it. I can't do any more. So a few curves in that and a few twisting shapes coming in. What it could be, I don't know. Again, we see those openings and pillars on the side. This is interesting because when you go in further, you see all the supports on the side there. It seems to be camouflaged white. And then you've got a vertical cliff face on the side. So when you put the filter on, then you start to see the shape of it. You wouldn't see it from the top if you're flying over it. The side view then brings up that structure. I don't know what it is, of course. I don't like the colouring here. It's getting towards that brown, but look at all those colours coming up there. They look organic, whatever those things are. No idea what they are. Okay, this is a good one because we still have a bit of colour, but we start to see these rectangular shapes and openings there. And I think this is the part where I start to see some very good stuff popping up. It looks like arch supports there and openings on the side. And I think in some of these pictures it becomes very clear. Okay, this is that special picture where I look at it and I think, okay, something special is there. You see how bright that is? It's like a shell. And then all of a sudden you've got the crisscross pattern going down there, that square shape next to it, that cliff there with the openings on the side, and it just, whatever it is, natural or not, is spectacular. Look at that. That is very, very interesting. That type of shape mix. So we've got one more. Yep, could be clearer this one. Very interesting. No idea what it is, but the shapes are fascinating. Okay, we've got here these structures again that have the openings on the side and the pillars, and the very bright luminous tops. Here we've got quite a few right angles like that one. When you apply the filter, you just have a bit of a closer look, but it's not that good. Here's that object again. See what I mean? You've got that little thing coming off it. You've got the openings on the side. That looks like a few pillars, a few openings, and there's a few openings there. It just looks totally special. Something's there that I haven't seen before. I can't put my finger on it. It's very bright. It's very shiny. It seems to be clear cut, and then it raises up to there into the openings there. Does everyone else see what I'm seeing? Openings there as well, steep rises. Very shiny tops there and openings. Opening down there is a pillar or support. Openings on the side here. Very wax-like. Just enlarged it now and you see all these little openings on the side. See if I can do it a bit bigger. Okay, this is a good one because on top we've got that dome with two openings and a pillar in the middle. I think that was that one before we saw, where was that shiny area next to it, the openings there as well. Again, a special type of picture because we see these openings on the side that are just very straight cut openings. Look at that. Something special's there. I can't say, but that's a pillar. That looks like little support down the middle with two openings, like windows. That's a closer look. It looks like it could be a structure, artificially produced type of dwelling. It's a good picture. I'll see how far I can get it in. That's it. Can you see what I'm seeing? The openings, the pillar, the nice dome on top, little support in the middle, the openings there. Or just accidental. Natural formation, hard one. Here we go, it's a bit of a zoom there. Again. Sometimes you get a crystal clear picture. With these, I wish I had a little bit extra, but I haven't. You need that 10% extra to get just a little bit extra clarity inside. Because once you enlarge it, it's still there. And not as clear as I wanted, but you can see some nice structures and nice colours coming up in there. Just not as crystal clear as I'd expect it. Some nice blues coming up and interesting shapes happening there. This is interesting because you see little processes coming from the side. It looks organic. Can you see that one coming across and those rounded shapes there? It's right on the edge where the sunlight is hitting and the shade. You see the openings down the bottom. There's always what looks like pillar supports and openings around the bottom. Let's see how far we can zoom into that. Same thing. You see the openings down the bottom, little pillars, vertical pillars, and then the openings. Again, openings. Pillar supports, openings down the bottom. Nice colours, nice formations. I just don't know what they are. There's that one we've seen a few times before. All the colours come on that one. It's got fantastic colours. I'm not sure if it's some type of crystal that just keeps reflecting rainbow colours off it when the sun hits it. Whatever it is, it's the most colourful object I've ever seen on the moon. There's one object there. Very dark grey, and there's a white one next to it. Grey object. Interesting because you've got the little side openings. Again, interesting because you've got structures with openings on the side, like nests. Some are so clear you can actually take the risk of enlarging it to see structures there. The others you just couldn't do much with. There's things there, but you don't know what they are. That looks like, I don't know what it is. Something's there, you just don't know what it is. These are not that good. Okay, this is a good one. You see something is there for sure, and it curls up on that side. You've got the little openings down the bottom, again, and the vertical supports. That is a good picture. Something's there, but it's a clump. There's something again, you've got the little processes up and down. This one's good because it's got the the horizontal line openings on the side. It's a good one. You see the openings as well. Very bright blue around it. Sometimes you get these very bright blue colours coming on there. Sometimes you catch a very thin bright blue line around the moon's surface and you just think that's probably the atmosphere, that very thin atmosphere they talk about. It's been caught by the sun. And there's that blue area that looks like vegetation or green vegetation. I don't know what it is. It's there and you just can't get a closer image of it. Here we go. Just try to do a bit in that one. No good. Very bright, crystal-like. Again, nothing special you can zoom in on. Interesting because we've got those openings on the side of this one. There and there. Bright white. This is a good one. That's what I'm trying to show you. Always the openings are on the side of these objects. And they're usually horizontal. All like round windows. See? The round windows down the bottom are openings, the pillars, the arches. go back to that one. I might do something with it. That's it. It's brought up a bit more. You see the openings down the bottom. Pillar supports. That one's good because we see those openings down the bottom and the vertical support structures there. I'm not sure if they're support, but it's just unusual. All the things we've seen have that. Here we've got a few rounded tubes coming up. Don't know what they are. Obviously we've caught it right on the edge so we can get some structure to it. Here's that wonderfully coloured object. I keep running into it sometimes when it's spectacularly coloured. And smaller object next to it, which is smaller, white, with open like windows on the side. I have no idea what that could be in real life. Look at it. Look at that. Wow, just sit back about 1.5 meters from the computer terminal and just look at that. Especially that area down there. It's like the various capsules joined with side openings. That is a very special picture. And there's that area of the capsules with what looks like side openings there. I don't think they could be accidental rocks looking like that. There's that structure. Beautiful colours. Look at that. What could produce all those colours? I don't know. When the sun hits it, it radiates colours. And the rest is white. Look at that. Look at that. Those openings there. That is worth its weight in gold, that picture. And there it is without the sunlight hitting. I think that's the same object. See, it's got the openings there. And here it's perfectly white. Here it is again, caught with all the colours on it. There's that object around, a small one next to it. So I've caught that a few times now. And it's very rare to see it totally opaque. Usually it's got all the colours. Like that object there. You see the tube-like structures. It's like a crystal type rock. Look at it. And that process going back up. Let's go back there and have a close look at it. And I can only get these special type of effects or colours when I catch the sunlight directly over the objects and the shade behind them. So it's specific times of the Terminator line coming across the moon. That object there we've seen before has got like a dome with two little antennas coming from it. I've actually pictured something similar to that on a rock. That's a special picture. Here we see the little openings down the side. That object. Here's that object we saw before for all the colours, I think. Or it could be a different object. We just see the openings on the side again. There's just so many pictures and so many strange things there. You just don't know when to stop and when to take more views of it or more angles. That's that one I've seen many times popping up. It's got the two openings, one on the side, one on the other side. Here you've got that like organic crystalline shapes. Beautiful. Lovely colours. It's like you're the first in the world to see these beautiful shapes. Lovely blues. Now we've got that yellow and greys. Something seems to be coming up vertically from there. These are very blurred. Okay, this is interesting because it's got the horizontal slits on it. interesting as well. It's got the various arches and openings on the side. Beautiful white and blue coming up there. Very artistic colours. There's that wonderfully coloured object there again. And what looks like little pillars on the side of it and openings. We've seen this before. Because it's got those slit-like openings on the side, which are always horizontal. Some of these images I'm coming across again as the moon rotates, and I catch it during, obviously, nighttime. This is that honeycomb appearance on the side. So I'll just go through the images again, but they're a little bit different. Sometimes I seem to be catching much more clarity. So you have to wait till the moon is obviously at nighttime. You can't do it during the daytime, and it has to go through the various cycles. Now this is a very strange twisting object, and I think I've caught it before, but in this shot I just start to see maybe a bit more clarity. There's an object there, not sure what that is. It seems to open sideways. There it is. Whatever that is just very twisting. There's a lot of tubular twisting objects on it. That's unusual. It's mostly vertical. I'll try to go through a lot quicker. This is a landscape I love because it's very bright and crystal clear. Sometimes you're very lucky and you get like this spectacular shining shell-like roof there, and you see the opening on the side, and you think, well, what could have caused that to develop? It's just spectacular. We'll just go through that again. Shiny, bright, reflective. Look at that. And then you get these fantastic blue type of luminous. There's a shape there, but I can't make it out. So it's a shame. A few times I get close, and I just want that bit more. And you think, well, you'll catch it next time. Now, what we have here is interesting. You've got something that looks like a perfect dome there with those little side windows that I always tell you about that open on the side, and they're usually horizontal. See what I mean? It just looks like dwellings, but you can't be certain. You can't just say, well, that's dwellings, but they seem wasp-like, insect-like type of construction things. Can you see that round shape there, and obviously the side windows? There it is again, not that clear. So the trick is to get a perfectly clear shot, and which allows you just and really zoom in and see the structure. That's very rare. It's probably 20% of the time. So you could be seeing the same thing quite a few moon rotations until you get that really good clear shot, and everything just adds up. There's that sort of object and that thing on top of it. Can't really make out more to it. Here we got interesting stuff. We've got these vertical supports coming up again, open like window type of structures, honeycomb like. Here, that's a perfect example. See how that's horizontal, goes across, that's horizontal. They rise up. No idea what could have produced this. Here we've got a double layered ones. You see them there? There's two there. Some side ones there. Clear, but not that clear that I enjoy it. Here we've got some more. Could be clearer. There's that rounded object. I've caught that a few times. The other times had tubes coming down and two processors sticking up like antennas. So I seem to be running to that object a few times now. There it is there. And there's one, that bright one. So it seems to be on some sort of platform. There it is. Obviously, it could be unnatural, but it's just mind-boggling what these things are, especially when the astronauts didn't bring back any pictures like this at all. And yet you're catching these pictures by opening a back door when the moon is up, taking a snapshot. Now this is interesting. We've got that little round sphere on top of this object with horizontal slits on the side again. The way I do this is I virtually wait for that moon to be pretty high up, open the back door, take a few snapshots. As I watch TV, I enlarge on the back LCD screen. Here we go. Here we've got those vertical slits. And I then use a HTC, and that's the only phone I can get the really good filters and auto focus on it. It's the cheapest one, the HTC One, I think it's called. And all the other ones don't have that exact camera that I want. And as I just look at the pictures, I actually use that to zoom in, enlarge it, and just take a snapshot and just download on my computer. That's square. That's interesting. So that's how I do this. It's very quick. I watch TV. I then think, well, I could be seeing something interesting on the moon. I just take 1 or 2 pictures. And as I watch the commercials, I just quickly, in a dark room, just process the pictures. That's actually the bottom of the camera, if you can see it. I've turned it upside down. That's the LCD screen. Now I've done that because obviously it seems I can see the best way like that object. It looks like a wasp nest, honeycomb type of structure. So that's how easy I do that. It's just surprisingly quick. And I then, in between commercials, just go through the images, and they're all on the phone. I connect that phone to the computer, it downloads on the HTC site, and that's how I'm just downloading those images now quickly. But I didn't realize I can enlarge them so clearly, and I haven't done that. I see some tubes going up, so that's why I'm going through these very quick. And here we've got interesting things. We've got a very luminous object there, right angles, horizontal slits on the side, and I wish I had that little bit extra. A little bit extra zoom is what I need. That's interesting. Got the perfect horizontal slit right there. I always see those horizontal openings. They're very common. Seen here? They're everywhere. That's interesting. We've got a grey object with openings and then something bright white next to it. I think I've taken a picture of it before. It's got like 2 openings on top and it looked organic. That's got a side opening, then it's got the round thing on top. So sometimes you have a magic shot. Everything's crystal clear and you just think, wow, I've caught it. And you could probably get about 50 clear pictures from one good shot if you could catch that a magic shot. Look at that. Look at that structure. Looks organic, crystalline. All these things hang off it. Openings there. Not as clear as I want that one. That one's looking good. A few of those tubes coming down, the openings there. It's worth the effort. You just think you're the first in the world to see these things. That thing's unusual. Some are really spectacular, mind-blowing. Mountain formations. They look so shiny, so bright. Look at that. Those little arches coming up, the entrances. You're just not sure what you're seeing. Look at that. It's got a perfect entrance there. That one's very good. The colours are spectacular as well. Here's that object that I caught before. It just seems to be organic. little antennas on it. Obviously you want that clear shot that'll just be magic. It's very rare, you will get it once in a while. Here we go, this is one of those. Look at those little vertical slits on the side. Could be natural, but I just love the shape of that. I've used a filter on there. So sometimes the filters bring up the contrast and you can see those entrances or objects which you wouldn't see normally. And that's the HTC One is the only one that has the filters that I require. That's very interesting there. Look at that. I can't see what it's actually sitting on, but it's a very nice luminous shape, that one. Again, I can't explain why it's all the way up there and I can't see it connected to anything. There it is. So I've obviously zoomed in on it to try to work out what that is. No idea. There it is again. Could be connected to the object up behind it, but it's whatever it is, it's interesting. So you just keep, here we go. Here's something that's interesting because you see there, look at those two perfect square openings like windows, the opening on the side. Look at that. And these have a few openings right next to them. Can you see what I'm looking at? Look at that. It just seems like an opening. It just seems that it isn't coincidental. And again, if that is what I think it is, it's perfect camouflage. Who could have produced that? I don't know. Look at that. So I'm trying to see, there's too many straight lines there. There's too many rectangles in this one, openings. It could be a natural. Now I've seen quite a few of the Mars rocks that look totally beyond what we see on Earth. They're blue, they've got all sorts of shapes. This could be similar. But it just sort of ask yourself, why hasn't a NASA shown us any of these in the Apollo images? It's all flat like, a desert like, and here we see a lot of colors, some tubular structures. Okay, this is a money shot again because we start to see these straight lines, rectangles popping up, crystalline structures, beautiful. Look at that. Maybe it's natural, but I love the shapes I'm seeing there. This one's good because we see that nice great platform and rounded thing on top. More of these shiny objects. Nothing special there. Nothing there. Tubular blue objects on the side there. Okay, this is interesting because we see these platforms and these little, like one tube up there going on top. See various platforms happening there. Again, there's no definite proof. You see the openings down the side there like honeycombs. And you'll just see these bizarre shapes. Openings honeycomb like, wasp. Close is wasp nests, if you've ever seen those. Up close, it's got the same type of bizarre openings and structures. Okay, this is an interesting one again because when we look close, we can see inside. It opens up on the side. It's like a honeycomb type pattern. See what I mean? Those horizontal openings right there? Like ventilation or something like that. Ventilation openings. Organic. That thing there looks organic. Square openings around the top. Wasp nest type openings. curvy purple objects. This is interesting. It looks like a perfectly rounded opening right there. I've never seen this anywhere, these type of pictures. This looks organic, look at that. I'm just trying to picture what it would look like walking down there with a camera and just going through all these structures. Look at that, all the tubes there. Here we got more of these bizarre things just pop up straight away like towers. Look at that. Just goes all the way up and you got that horizontal opening there. It's got a vertical opening. It just looks like it shouldn't be doing it unnaturally. There it is. I've obviously focused on that one because I just see that being very strange. More of these towers popping up, which you can see there, honeycomb on the side. Here we've got something interesting. Got that zigzag shape there, pink. Interesting as well because it's a dome with openings on the side of it. Big opening there and also there as well. Openings there as well on the side. What looks like a support beam right there. But everything's very natural. There's no such thing as repetition anywhere. Not one thing seems to repeat in its actual shape. I don't know what that object is. It's sitting right on top of there. Just to use an example, this is one of the zoom shots from Apollo 11 that I zoomed in on. And you see a structure there for all these similar shaped domes and things like that. It's not mine, it's actually from Apollo film. And on the zooms, you just see something that looks like a dome or a sphere. So they're the type of things that I'm catching as well in my images. So it's pretty good to touch a base of this Apollo film that I've zoomed these objects on as well. It's like a building there with all these arches on the side of it. They're the same things that I'm getting. So obviously I think if anything's a fake, the only pictures I trust are the ones I take with my own Olympus camera of the moon that I see in the sky. And here we got that honeycomb type of insect wasp nest like structure there again. And as I said, when I compare it to the Apollo 11 film, I get the same structures on there as well, which is good. There it is there using contrast. So it just seems as though these are these similar structures as well. The only pictures I believe in are the ones I take with my own camera, enlarge myself, and process myself. And the filters just bring up the contrast in a few situations to see the openings and things like that. That's an interesting object because it just appears tubular on the surface. You've got more of these ones. See what I mean? You've got the openings down the bottom again, perfectly horizontal, and then you've got the structures on top. Again, sometimes you'll be hitting fantastic color and openings as well, like that one. No idea what it could be. But because my camera seems to catch that object many times, obviously it's there. It isn't just an artifact produced by lenses or anything like that. Fantastic curves and colors in that object. The mind boggles because you think each time you see something, have you caught something special, which no one else has seen before. It's interesting because it goes all the way up. tube. The way it just curves around and has got those openings to it is very unusual what that object could be. They're not that clear, unfortunately. It seems to have many processes. This is an extremely important capture because I seem to have caught this object. Now, that's the picture on top. Obviously, you can't see the aerial photograph. There's a little square there. Now, it just seems a little bit too peculiar to be just a rock. So it's actually caught there in the shadow area, and it seems to be higher up because it's obviously caught the sunlight. Now, just have a very close look at that. It just seems a little bit too far-fetched to think that's just your plain rock. Could be. Now, I probably can't say anything concerning the actual shape of it unless I analysed one other video which was in infrared in Sydney Minto, and this was an object that was caught flying in Minto. Now I'll just bring you that image up, and it looks remarkably like this object shape. Again, the things that I'm filming are very far away from the Earth, but the image quality that I'm actually capturing with the Olympus is very, very good. Okay, let's return. So I'll quickly go to his image now. These are his infrared images which I zoomed from his film. Now it just looks remarkably like that object that I captured on the moon. See what I mean? You've got the same sort of shape. Are these objects coming from the moon and obviously flying to Earth? I don't know. It sounds ridiculous, but there you go. Seems to be pretty close to that object that I caught above the lunar surface. It's a very unusual shape. I've only seen it once before, and it was actually on his film, obviously. So let's return to my shape. And here's my object. So when I enlarge it, obviously you see things on the side and that circular object in the center, and that looked remarkably like the object that we saw now that he caught infrared flying over Sydney.